Hey, what's up everybody? This is Kyle Riker and I'm back at you with another video review. And today we'll be taking a look at the AEW Unrivaled Series 3 Riho. Very controversial figure. I mean, people are not really liking this figure, but I personally think it's not that bad. But we'll get into that later on in the review. But before we do so, take a look at the packaging first, as we always do. Anyways, Riho there on the side. Picture of Riho, Unrivaled Collection, number 20, Series 3. Pretty much the same basic stuff on the side picture there. Number 20, Series 3, AEW logo. On the side, pretty much the same thing, AEW logo, and it has the letter there, W. And on the back, we have a picture of Riho and Nyla Rose from the match this figure is based on, which is Dynamite 10/2/2019, Washington, D.C., which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is actually the first episode of Dynamite. And this is actually the episode where she beat Nyla Rose to become the first ever women's champion in the finals of a tournament. So it's kind of appropriate. Anyways, and down below we also got the other figures in the set. We got Pac, of course Riho, Freshly Squeezed, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, and of course the Young Bucks. Pac, I'm going to review him at some point, but I want to see what he looks like in person first. Orange Cassidy, I have a friend of mine who actually found Orange Cassidy, because I have not been able to find him, but I have a good friend of mine who found him, and he's going to hook me up with one, so I cannot wait for that. Darby Allin, I already reviewed him, and the Young Bucks I already reviewed, so if you haven't seen my review of Darby Allin and the Young Bucks, check those out. And also stay tuned for my review of Orange Cassidy, and maybe Pac in the future. Anyways, that's about it for the packaging, so let's open up Riho and see if she is as bad as people say, or if she's very underrated. Anyways, let's take a look. We'll be right back. Alright guys, so here we have Riho open up out of her packaging, and honestly, I don't think this figure is that bad. Yeah, it's still not the greatest figure, but I don't think it is as bad as people were saying. I mean, when the pictures of this figure were first revealed, people were tearing it to shreds. Like, they were acting like it was the worst women's figure ever made. Like, there was, like, a lot of threats and everything. Like, people were just tearing this figure apart. But I don't think it's that bad. I mean, like I said, it's still not the greatest, but it does have a few issues, but I'll get into that. Anyways, first up, her accessories. She comes with quite a few interchangeable hands, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, she is the figure that comes with the most interchangeable hands that we've seen so far with the AEW figures. Of course, on her we have one gripping hand and one pointing hand, and she also comes with another gripping hand for her left hand as well, so you can have two gripping hands if you want to. One fist, which I'm surprised that she didn't come with two fists, surprisingly. And then she also comes with two more open hands, kind of like relaxing hands, I guess, like she's like waving to the crowd, but they're like more like relaxed hands. And she comes with, finally, the AEW Women's Championship. Which, honestly, I don't really care for this belt that much. I don't really care for the design. I agree with what people have said. It looks like an egg. They call this the Egg Championship. Especially with the front plate here. It's not bad. You see, it looks good in figure form. It does remind me of the Jakks Pacific belts a lot. Like, it's mostly gold, doesn't have that much detail. The strap is, like, nice and stiff, so you can buckle it pretty easily. However, it is pretty small. It is a pretty small championship. So I think it's a tad bit too small. For a couple comparisons, here it is with the AEW World Championship, as well as a couple of the Women's Championships, the WWE Raw Women's Championship, and the old school WWE Women's Championship from the Attitude Era. As you see, so it's a pretty small championship. So I think it should be a tad bit bigger, but it's still not that bad. Now on to Riho herself. Alright, first we had to discuss the elephant in the room. The reason why people were really hating on this figure when the images were first revealed on Twitter. And that is the head sculpt. Yeah, it's not the greatest head sculpt, but I think it definitely looks like Riho, and I don't think it's that bad. I do like how she's smiling, because Riho is always smiling. She's like the happy-go-lucky women wrestler in AEW, but she's always smiling. Like I said, it's not the greatest head scan, but it's not that bad. Like, the pictures made her look like Jill from the movie Jack and Jill. Yeah, the M. Sandler version. See, it's not the worst women's head sculpt I've ever seen. At least it's much better than some of the women figures that we've got with WWE and Mattel, especially the Basic Series Beth Phoenix from 2012. Yeah, this monstrosity. See? So it's not. So this figure's not as bad as that one. I mean, it could be better. Like I said, I don't mind it. I think the Chase variant has a much better head sculpt where it's more serious. I think it's a better head sculpt, but this one's not bad either. And her attire, I really like her attire. It's really nice with the white and pink on her arms there with the tassels. Now this is what I wish the Young Bucks looked like the tassels for the Young Bucks is that it's rubber, like instead of like actual fabric. I don't know if these like wrist gauntlet things or whatever, I don't know if they hinder the posability in her hands, but we'll see that when we get to the articulation. Nice detail in the skirt. It is a separate piece, so it can go up and down, which is kind of annoying when you're trying to move her legs. But her skirt does move like that in real life when you watch her matches. It has very nice sculpting and very nice detail on it. Awesome detail on the knee pads, and they're actually open in the back, so hopefully that does not hinder the posability in her knees. And nice detail on the boots. Sorry, I apologize for the neighbor's dog in the background. And it's pretty nice. I also love the sculpting on the boots. I mean, this is a very nice sculpt. It's not painted on, it's actually sculpted. Now it's painted on the knee pads, but it's actually sculpted on her boots. So that's very nice. For a couple comparisons, let's see how she stacks up with fellow Japanese wrestlers. Here she is with Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io Shirai. If I can get her in the shot. There we go. So I think she stacks up pretty well with some of the other women figures, and she's in decent scale. So you could actually have her face off against these other women wrestlers from WWE. So I think the size is actually pretty good. Like I said, we don't have that many women figures with the AEW figures, so I don't know if she's too small or too short, but we'll find out when we get other women figures in the AEW line, like Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida from Series 6, which I cannot wait for that figure. Anyways, articulation is a little different than the men figures, but we'll see. Head can rotate, not that much. Her hair kind of hinders it. Can look down, can't look up because of her hair. Arms for rotate 360. Then go in and out. Slight rotation at the bicep. Double jointed elbow, which I love that. I'm glad they're doing that with the women figures. Wish Mattel would do that. Swivel at the wrist. And I don't think it has a hinge at the wrist, does it? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It has a hinge at the wrist because of these wrist gauntlet things. They get in the way. Does she have a swivel waist? Yes, she does, but it's really tight. Legs can go forward about that far, but her skirt hinders it. And back to original position. They can go in and out. Rotate at the thigh. Double jointed knee with a very nice ratcheting joint. Unfortunately, her boot does not swivel. Like her thigh all the way down to her boot is like one piece. So with the joint in the middle there, obviously. So her boot does not swivel, so that's a shame. Like you can't rotate the boot at all, which is kind of sucks. And she does have a hinge at the ankle with a very nice ratcheting joint. And the pivot, which can go all over the place. So very nice. So overall, yeah, this figure is not the greatest, but I don't think it's as bad as people are saying. So I think this figure is kind of underrated. So some quick final thoughts. Overall, I don't think this figure is as bad as people were saying. Yeah, it has its problems. Kind of a limited posability a little bit, and the head sculpt could have been a little bit better. But personally, I think it looks better in person, and it's not as bad as I expected. So it's not the best, and it's not the worst. So I would say, kind of chill out with the complaints. Like I said, it's not that bad. It's not the worst, and it's not the best. So I would say, honestly, if you see this figure in the store, give it a chance. Like I said, honestly, give it a chance. I think it's a very underrated figure. And like I said, it doesn't really deserve all the hate it gets. I mean, yeah, like I said, there's some bad things about it, but it doesn't deserve to be like treated as like the most like terrible women's figure ever made. Like I said, it's not the worst. Like I said, there's been a lot worse figures out there, and hopefully Jazzwares learns from this and can improve these women figures a little bit, like maybe a little more posability and a little bit better job on the head sculpt. Like I said, it's not the worst and it's not the best either, so it's not as bad as I expected. So I'll give this figure a 6.5 out of 10. My only complaints with it is the limited posability where you can't rotate the boot and all, and of course the wrist gauntlets hinder her posability in her wrist, and I wish the head scan was a little bit better. Like I say, it looks like her, but it's not the greatest. So head scan could be a little bit better, and of course the posability. But aside from that, it's an alright figure. So like I said, it's not as bad as I expected. So I would say if you see it in the store, give it a chance. You might be surprised. Anyways, that's about it. So thanks for watching, guys. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Links down below. Be sure to get your official Kyle Riker merch on my store on bonfire.com. Link down below. And also be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss a single upload. I upload new reviews every single Saturday right here on the channel. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss it. Anyways, that was it. So thanks for watching, guys. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care, guys. Bye.